Hey there, good morning. Welcome back to Shamrock Foods Kitchen Conversations, where we talk to Shamrock partners just like you about how they approach the hospitality business, stay on top of trends, and manage a successful business. I'm your host, Jeff Pivin, business solutions consultant with Shamrock Foods in Phoenix, and I'm joined today with a great Shamrock Foods partner, Arnis Robbins. He's the owner of Evie Mays Barbecue, deep in the heart of Texas, Wolfforth, Texas, and soon to be Lubbock. Good afternoon, Arnis. Thank you for joining us today, sir.
Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are.
No doubt. Well, thanks for joining us today. To the audience out there, we invite you to participate in this conversation. As you're seeing this on Facebook Live, go ahead and type in the comments, and we can see the comments here on the side. Hopefully, there's some folks out there, maybe my mom and dad, and maybe some fans of Evie Mays. We always tend to get a bit of a rally cry for every restaurant that we have on the show. So hopefully people will come on and ask us some questions about maybe the new location. Hello from Montana. Randy's saying hello. Hello to you, Randy. Montana, that's up there. That's a bit of a drive for barbecue, but I bet it's worth it. So, Arnis, thanks for joining me again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about your background. You weren't always in food service. How did you get into barbecue?
Oh, man. I actually grew up on a peanut farm in eastern New Mexico and ended up in Tucson, Arizona. Went to a landscape design school there. Went to work for a landscape construction company and eventually started my own landscaping business. And it was after that that I was diagnosed with celiac disease in 2010. And once I was diagnosed with celiac, we weren't able to dine out as much as we had up to that point, my wife and I. And so we started cooking a lot more at home. We started spending more on high quality groceries. I was grilling a lot. I really began to enjoy grilling and hanging out outside. For me, it was just something that I obviously had a kind of a born passion for. And I think I got to a point where I wanted more. I wanted more of that outdoor cooking experience. And so I found an electric smoker on Craigslist and began messing around with pork ribs and pork shoulders and things like that. And it was good. I wasn't trying to make, this fantastic barbecue. I was just trying to create something that we could eat at home as a substitute for being able to go out and find that cuisine at a restaurant. So again, from there, there came a point where I wanted more. I wanted to know more. I wanted to experiment more with it. And in order to do that, I needed live fire. I wanted to learn how to cook on live fire. So everything that is here now all originated as nothing more than a backyard hobby of mine, kind of a therapeutic outlet in Tucson, Arizona.
Well, it's awesome. And if you can't find it, why not create it? So I remember you were talking about, when we first spoke, you were talking about you actually built yourself a smoker, didn't you?
So kind of going back to my farming background, grew up on a farm. I think most kids that do grow up on a farm are have the opportunity to build and create and modify. And in general, I have just a resourcefulness that I think came from the farming background.
So when I decided on the farm, right?
Yeah. So when I decided I wanted to start cooking with live fire, I immediately decided I wanted to build much larger than anything I would ever need, like for me and my wife. But I wanted to build a really large mobile smoker for no other reason. I was as excited about building it as I ever could have been about using it. So I sourced a propane tank, and we lived in a master plan community. Our lot was like 10,000 square feet. And so I kind of set up shade tree fab shop next to the house, and for about a month and a half.
Looks like we may have lost Arnis. perhaps he was disconnected. Let's take a moment and recognize Tanya that has chimed in that she is a huge fan of Evie Mae's barbecue. And if you look at their Instagram, go look up Evie Mae BBQ on Instagram or Facebook and look at some of this food that they're putting out. You'll notice that it's all craft, it's all by hand. The desserts look incredible. And there's a beautiful family. Actually, Evie Mae is the name of Arnis's daughter. Isn't that right? Sorry, man, I lost you for a minute.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
I was filling time for a second.
Sorry about
talking about your menu. But where were we? You were building the smoker in your backyard.
So I found a 750-gallon propane tank.
How big is that? How long?
That's a 36-inch diameter by, I think, 10 feet, roughly.
Dang.
Yeah. So I also sourced an old boat trailer that I cut apart and utilized as my kind of trailer chassis. But anyway, I built the smoker in my backyard and had a great time doing it. And about a week after I finished, I had a buddy who was having a bachelor weekend in Albuquerque. And so I took this smoker to Albuquerque and we cooked a whole pig, spent a whole Saturday. I mean, got up super early, cooked all day, had this fantastic barbecue feast for dinner. I don't know if it was any good, but it was really good after being able to hang out with high school buddies, all day and cook a pig. And it was on my drive home from Albuquerque back to Tucson that I really thought, man, this is something that I really enjoy this. I love this. I want to pursue it. I want to see if there's anything there. There's not much of a barbecue scene in Tucson. There wasn't in 2014. That is when that was. So I got back to Tucson and I started doing some research on mobile vending requirements and permitting.
Right.
And from that weekend that I spent in Albuquerque until we sourced a trailer there in Pima County and set up shop was about a month. So everything just went really fast. I had poured a lot of my resources into building that smoker and I was continuously just putting more and more time into it. And my whole thing at that point was, yes, I want a barbecue, but I need to start trying to generate a little bit of revenue out of this so it can at least pay its way.
Right. It's great to have a hobby that pays for itself because most of them just kind of suck your money out.
And barbecue is an expensive hobby.
Yeah.
Unless you're cooking for 10 or 12 people on a regular basis, I mean, it's expensive. The meats are large. They feed a lot of people. So me cooking for a party of two was just a little bit impractical.
Barbecue for two. Well, that's interesting that talking about the pit, and Dan Gilpatrick, one of my homies, is chiming in that you've not only got the best barbecue in the Southwest, but you've got a killer pit. He wants you to bring it up here, which I think he's talking about Albuquerque again. I think he's having some withdrawals. Is there anything special about the way that you built this barbecue pit? Because you did build it from scratch,
So all of the smokers at the restaurant are what are called reverse flow smokers. And if you're familiar with barbecue, you're probably familiar with that style. It's what it says. There's the way to immediately identify a reverse flow smoker is the fact that the exhaust flue and the firebox are on the same side of the cooker. Whereas traditionally you would have a firebox on one side and your exhaust on the other. Right. These are horizontal cook chambers. So on a reverse flow, there's a solid steel plate that runs from the firebox end almost to the end of the cook chamber. So all of that convected heat has to go underneath your cooking chamber and then switch back and flow back through before it works its way through the meats in the cook chamber all the way back to the other side and out the top. And the reason that I built that as my first was because I had zero live fire management experience. And whenever I did research on building one, I thought that would be something that was easier for me as a absolute beginner to work with than having that firebox that is actually allowing some flame to enter the cook chamber at times. even to the point that your fire could touch whatever it is that you're cooking. So built the first one as a reverse flow, learned how to use it, and I never changed.
Is that what you're using now, just bigger, or?
It is, yes. So now here at the restaurant, we have 4 1,000-gallon reverse flow smokers that we use here for restaurant service.
Wow, so you've scaled that up, and you built those as well?
Correct. Yep. I've actually got a fab shop about 50 feet away from the restaurant, which is where I spend a lot of my time building. For a couple of years back in 2018, 19, we really pursued building cookers as a secondary business, and it got to the point where it was too much for me to handle. So we kind of finished out our backlog, and now I've kept my shop intact, and I built things for the restaurants, built things for myself, built things that I want to build, and if I want to keep them, I'll keep them, and if not, then we can typically sell them pretty easily here.
Right, but you're not in the full-time fab business.
We're not currently building for production anymore.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the restaurant and the business itself. What do you see out in the marketplace right now, how restaurants are changing? We're doing things a lot differently than we were in 2019 because of the pandemic. How are things changing? Your model is QSR, or quick serve, right?
Correct.
I think that's getting bigger. Tell me what you guys see.
So, we're fortunate. We're doing barbecue, Texas style barbecue in Texas. Texas barbecue has been around for a long, long time. Our consumer in general is familiar with the concept. They're familiar with the process. Traditional Texas barbecue is served deli style. So yes, it is quick service, it's counter service, but it's all being plated and finished right in front of you. So we take a brisket, and we slice that in front of our customer, and we put it on their tray, and then they immediately go and sit down. With COVID and the shutdown and the way that things have changed, I would say almost more than anything, we are making an effort to get back to where we were pre-shutdown. Now, that being said, there are additional safety protocols in place that we wouldn't have even thought about pre-COVID, as far as cutlery packets versus loose plastic cutlery.
Oh yeah.
Seasoning packages versus salt and pepper on the tables, things like that. But in general, and being in Texas, we've been fortunate enough that things have been able to, come back very quickly. And the consumer, it's so obvious to us, the consumer wants that. Our numbers are fantastic right now, and people are coming out like they were before the shutdown.
Right. You were talking about the customer. You were and like the individually wrapped cutlery. Are the customers more flexible, more forgiving now? What kind of customer trends are you seeing through the restaurant?
So where we are, just outside of Lubbock, and this region of Texas in general, it's a lot of blue collar consumers. So we have it easy. Our consumer in general is not one that is overly concerned with those things. Now, like I said, we're taking steps just in an effort to be responsible,
sure.
to try to mitigate risks. But in general, our consumer wants it to be the way that it was.
Understood. And when we were talking about deli style, what I'm seeing a bit here, at least in the Arizona market, and even across some other markets, we talked to a sit-down restaurant up in Idaho, in McCall, who actually, they turned around and just created a drive-through restaurant. It was actually right before the pandemic. The guy must have had some sort of wild vision.
Wow.
We see people going more towards quick serve. What are some of the advantages you see for operators of doing quick serve versus the full sit down table service?
And naturally for us, the way we serve it, it's a quick process. The consumer is getting served very, very quickly. We don't have a full server staff. So now again, our concept, we're open for lunch only. We sell out daily.
Right.
So we don't have a dinner service. For us, it's convenient, and I think the consumer enjoys it because they're being served their food. They may have to wait in line 10 or 15 minutes, but then they're being served and they can go sit down and eat, and then they can leave. Everything's paid for. They don't have to wait for their ticket. If they're in a hurry, they can get in, get out, go home. If they want to stay and chat, by all means, they can hang out. But it's a very efficient process for us. It also allows us to hand the consumer a tray of food, and they can immediately tell us if they're okay with what's on their tray. They can ask the meat cutters, why can I have that piece instead of that piece? Can I have something a little bit more lean? So for us, it gives us an opportunity to try to serve these people exactly what they want in real time instead of reading a bad review, 2 days later.
Right. Or walking back and forth, or,
Right.
and it's more engaged. And, I want to bring to light something important. I think that you said was, you don't have servers, you don't have hostesses, you have less staff so that you can engage with the customer, at more critical points along their visit. And you can, with less people in the front, you can pay them more, you can engage with them more. There's more folks that are more engaged in the process of serving, as opposed to, you have hostess, server, busser, runner, expo, all these different people that are kind of doing a little part of each person's job. I think it's a really smart strategy for restaurants moving into post-COVID as we are. And being that there's less folks out there for us to hire for whatever reason, maybe folks left this industry just because they lost their livelihood almost a year ago now, and they're just, I don't think anybody wants to live on a precipice, so maybe they've moved on. But I think QSR is really smart. Let's real quick take a break. If you're just joining us, welcome to the broadcast. Mr. Verlin Dickerson is a huge fan of the show. Thanks for making it, Verlin. I was going to be disappointed if you weren't on. Right now, we're talking to Arnis Robbins, is the owner of Evie Mae's fantastic barbecue deep in the heart of Texas, Wolfforth, Texas, which is just west of Lubbock. Lubbock, Texas is going to also be the location of their new storefront, which is actually a very special business model. And we're going to talk about that more next. If you have any comments, questions, please type that into the comments section you see below our feed here, and we'd be happy to talk with you. So first and foremost, at Shamrock, we love food, and we're talking about flexibility today on the show. How has your menu changed as you reopen? I know that we're having challenges with our manufacturers of foods. We're having challenges all throughout the supply chain. How do you keep things flexible with your menu?
Barbecue in general, and being Texas barbecue, I've hit on that a lot, but the majority of what we sell is center of the plate protein. That's all there is to it. We're not super well known for our green beans. So that is,
should be. They look killer.
No, they are good, and we are actually known for them. My point is, it's center of the plate, and all of our proteins are skyrocketing right now.
Right.
We don't have the ability to just flat out take ribs off the menu or brisket off the menu, things like that. So we have been forced to increase our price and pass that on to the consumer. Now, right. Luckily, this is this price increase trend is also one that our average consumer is seeing at the grocery store. Whereas in the past, there are times where, 4th of July, our beef price will spike, but everything's on sale at the grocery store. And it's times like that the average consumer doesn't understand what we're dealing with in the industry. Right. So, as much as we hate this price increase, at least it's one that is transparent to the consumer in their personal lives.
Sure. And just like we had scarcity of product at first, and there was scarcity in the grocery store, now things are more expensive at the grocery store. It's more expensive at the gas pump. Everyone is really more aware. And I think that's an overreaching trend of the customer in the restaurant business now is that they are a lot more in tune with the struggles of a restaurant operator, and that makes them a better customer when you understand.
I'll tell you this. We have a very large social media platform.
You do.
Between Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, I think we have access to 50 or 60,000 people that choose to follow us and
Awesome.
be updated by us. So we try to be as transparent as possible through our social media platforms, whether it's whatever it may be. But now the hot topic is price. And trying to communicate that and educate our consumer goes a long way when it comes to changes like that. A lot of times they just need to know what's going on. They need to understand or why there was this price increase, what our yield is on this product, and why can they go to ABC grocery store and buy a brisket for $2 a pound, but yet we're charging $25 a pound for a cooked product. And just educating them and making them realize, we get a 41% yield on that product. So
Right.
before you ever put any other expense into it, now we've more than doubled our expense. So
Right.
It's little things like that. And we try to do the best we can to be transparent. We feel like that pays dividends is from a customer service standpoint.
Well, I agree. And, along with great barbecue, you guys are offering great hospitality, and you're not skipping any steps. You're serving on trays. You guys are using real silverware. We talked in depth about you take all this time to prepare these craft foods. Barbecue is so awesome because it is from scratch. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you honor your ingredients when you serve your food?
It's such a craft and it's so time consuming, and the effort that goes into cooking our product it's overwhelming. And this time of year, it's not uncommon for the pit room to be 120 degrees, but yet there's somebody out there that's manually feeding these fires, tending to this meat so that we can serve it tomorrow in hopes that it's, an excellent product. So the last thing we want to do is put all that time and effort and energy and expense into, the product and cut corners everywhere else.
Right.
So we've really made an effort to maintain that same level of interest, quality, anything that we can do to enhance the overall experience, starting with the meat and ending with, being the table being checked prior to their trays being picked up and taken to the trash. We want everything to hit as hard and with as much passion as that meat was cooked.
I really love what you just said right there. And for those of you watching, Arnis has traveled his customer journey around every single touch point and has made considerations. That's what makes his brand so strong, is by paying attention to the details and realize that your customer sees everything. So, you're eating a really nice piece of brisket that's got how many hours? 16 hours, you were saying?
Right.
And you're eating it with a flimsy plastic fork. Please don't do that.
Yeah, don't cut corners on cutlery. I mean, it's just silly.
So,
I mean, you've just paid a premium, right, for this plate of food. Don't cut corners anywhere else. The last thing you want is for somebody to leave and think, oh, the food was good, but the bathroom was dirty, or the food was good, but the iced tea was weak. We want everything to be perfect every day, and that is what our team. That's how we operate.
Well, we're thrilled to be a part of your strive for excellence. I appreciate your partnership. So let's talk about, I've been teasing this. Let's talk about the new location that's in the United that's being built on 114 and Slide. I know you guys are doing hiring and stuff right now. The build out looks super clean, super cool. It's like farmhouse modern. It's got a great look to it. It's inside a supermarket. Can you tell us a little bit more how that's going to work?
So I can tell you a lot more in a couple of weeks, because right now we're all just we're kind of trying to figure out how it's going to work.
I'm sorry. I used to open restaurants for a living, so I hear exactly what you're saying.
No. We've been telling our team we can. The only thing we can prepare for right now is the unknown. So just be prepared for anything, and we'll be fine.
Cool.
This is a partnership that we had a really great opportunity to work with United on. They built a new store. They asked if we wanted to be a part of that, and obviously we did. One thing that was important to me is I want the food quality to be the same. I want the experience at our 12-foot counter to be as similar to our restaurant as possible.
Right.
So we will cook on site. That's something that's going to cost us more, but it's something that's important to me. I don't want to truck in barbecue. And for anybody who's eaten authentic Texas barbecue, when you pull up and get out of your car, you smell it. You smell it immediately, and that's our best advertisement. So it was important to me to have smoke in the air at the grocery store, because somebody that's going in for a gallon of milk maybe wasn't thinking about buying barbecue, but now they're out of their car and they smell barbecue. So
man, that's not even fair. I get sent to the store and I come home with 2 pounds of brisket. I'm going to be in trouble.
But maybe not. So we are excited about that. It's going to be very fun. Our team is excited about it. We thrive when we're put in challenging situations.
Awesome.
We've been here in the brick and mortar for 5 years, and the majority of our team has been with us for over 3 years. So we're all kind of excited just for something new.
Right.
So we opened that June 30th, just shy of 2 weeks from today, and we're still trying to figure everything out. But I think it's gonna be very, very cool for us.
It's going to be great. You're cooking on site, and you're going to have your folks involved, and we know how you pay attention to the details. It's going to be killer. One last thing, you guys just went on a trip. You took a little vacation before you're going to open a new store. Can you talk to me and really talk to our other operators out there about self-care and how you take care of yourself and recharge your batteries and disconnect? It's so important right now.
So that has been something. We have an 8-year-old and a little boy who's 5 now. And about 3 years ago, once this restaurant kind of we had ironed out the kinks, we had hired a full staff. Mallory and myself were no longer obligated daily employees. I mean, we want to be here all the time. We feel like that's important to our team. But we recognize we have to get away. We have to force ourselves to recharge. We have to force ourselves to get away in a stress-free environment with our children, so that they can have real quality time with us. And that's important to us. And vacations are great in general, but about the last two times we've gone out of town post shutdown have been so unbelievably recharging. It's something I'd never even experienced before, to come back and think that was a great trip, and now I'm ready to go back to work. Instead of, a lot of times you get back from a vacation and feel like you need another week off to kind of relax from your travels. But no, we came back. We went to the Gulf Coast of Florida, and it was just unbelievable. And it's important, and we try to. In fact, we shut down the restaurant and paid our employees for a week of forced vacation, knowing that the rest of the summer was going to be very intense. We wanted everybody, and we encouraged everybody, don't just sit at home for a week. Go somewhere, take your kids somewhere, do something, because we need you to come back fresh.
Well, that's amazing. So, encouraging self-care for yourself, taking care of yourself, your mental state, your family is really, your rock in all of this. And I think a lot of operators right now have come from being entrepreneurs all the way down to being technicians again. And it's time to pick your head up and look at the long term. You're making some really smart heads up leadership decisions, and it's awesome. Everybody should take note. Well, with that,
anybody in this industry knows that it will grind you down to nothing if you're not careful.
For sure. And, you know, you do have to grind a bit to make it. But, you know, like a diamond, you can keep grinding. And at the end, you might wind up with dust. So pick your head up, go take a vacation, enjoy your family, enjoy your kids, and encourage those around you to do the same. It's an awesome piece of advice, Arnis. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you to everyone out there for joining Kitchen Conversations. We hope you enjoyed the show. Keep the comments coming. We're going to go ahead and answer those if there's any more that come in. Brother, it's good to see you. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you for having me on.
Good luck with your new location out at the United. That's opening up on the 30th. If anybody out there is even in the vicinity, go out and support this great cause, this great brand, and this great family. Thank you again, and we'll see you guys next time on Kitchen Conversations. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Take care.